Srimati Harjinder Kaur Talwar, President FLO, Dr. Ashok Khosla, former President of the Club of Rome, as you know, a very old friend whose development alternatives have made such a valuable contribution towards our thinking on economic development. Sri Ranjit Bhatt Thakur, who is the Secretary General of the Club of Rome India, other members of this organization, and friends from the press and the electronic media. Let me say how happy I am to be here today because there's a Triveni, there's the Club of Rome, of which I was a member myself many years ago, and I'm still an honorary. I was the first Indian member of the Club of Rome, and I am still an honorary member. I used to attend a lot of those meetings. So that is one. Right? WWF I was very closely involved in my capacity as chairman of the Indian Board for Wildlife. You recall when we did that massive Project Tiger, which I inaugurated in Corbett National Park on April 1973. That was one of the world's most successful conservation projects. So I'm very closely involved with that. And of course, I'm very closely involved with Jammu and Kashmir. So it's a Triveni. Everything here is something which is very close to me and close to my heart. Your time has got all askew, and in any case, my good friend Ashok gave me only 15 minutes. I said, भाई मुझे तो 15 दिन चाहिए ये सारी बात करने के लिए. आप 15 मिनट में मुझे कह रहे हो ख़त्म करने के लिए. तो I'll try and encapsulate what I have to say, because you know there's so much to say on each and every of these topics that you know it's impossible. But I'd like to start off on a somewhat different note from what you have heard so far. Do any of you have any idea how the Jammu and Kashmir state was created? The Dogras created, my family created the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Everybody now takes it for granted, Jammu and Kashmir हमारा है. आपका इसलिए है कि हमने बनाया. It was the Dogras. It was Raja Gulab Singh who first consolidated Jammu. Then after Maharaj Ranjit Singh gave him his Raj Tilik in his own hand on the banks of the Chenab. After that, when the Sikh collapsed, he had the treaty with the British, but it was only a treaty. There was not vacant possession. The governor was there, the old governor. And then how did Dogra forces from Himachal and from Jammu, how they captured and conquered these areas? They fought pitched battles at 15,000 feet. ये जो लद्दाख हमारा हुआ, ऐसे बैठे बैठे नहीं हुआ आपका लद्दाख. We fought, our ancestors fought, we made sacrifices. You go, how did we get Gilgit? That also. So the creation of the Jammu and Kashmir state was one of the major geopolitical events of the 19th century. We were able to consolidate. It was a magnificent state with borders reaching up to Tibet on the one side, Central Asia on the other side, with tributaries. Hunza, Nagar, other small states paid tributaries to J&K. So this consolidation of the J&K state was something for which the Dogras have never received the credit that they deserved. There have been a lot of great, there's Chhatrapati Maharaj and there's Rana Pratap and great people, but they all fought within the boundaries of India. What we did was we extended the boundaries of India. The Sikhs did it first, up to Kabul, but after the Sikh collapse, it was the Dogras who extended and made this composite state, a remarkable state, with Ladakh, with Gilgit, with every different regions, different cultures, different religions, different languages, and consolidated it into a single state. So I think before we talk about today what the state has become, let us recall कि ये state बना कैसे और sacrifices किन्होंने दी. डोगरस ने sacrifices दी. General Zorawar Singh का नाम आपने सुना है, one of the great commanders in world history. He was the one who conquered Ladakh and was moving on to Lhasa if the winter had not intervened. So that should be remembered now, because now history and time, you see every empire, Ashoka, has to come to an end. This was a Dogra empire, set up in 1846 and lasted till August 5th, 2019. 173 years. out of which it was ruled by the Dogras for 101 years and by the Kashmiris for 72 years. So that state finally has now come to an end. It has been dismembered, it has disappeared, and now we have been reduced to a union territory. Special status ki to darkanar. We are not even a state now. We are only a union territory. Still Jammu and Kashmir, the name is still there. So I'd like you to remember when you talk about Jammu and Kashmir, how this state was set up and which was the community that founded the state. So let me come now to the more practical matter. I thought I should give you this background because nobody Ashok speaks about this. Nobody speaks about ये रियासत बनी कैसे, किसने बनाई? ऐसे थोड़ी बन गई. जम्मू कश्मीर हमारा है, ठीक है आपका है, लेकिन हमने बनाई तब आपका है ना, और हमने लिख के दिया तब आपका है, ये भी याद रखिए. So let me now come to Ladakh. A lot of very interesting things were said. I don't have to repeat them. I was very interested to hear what the Mathur and Gadkari had to say on Ladakh. Of course, the solar power, it can become a massive creator of solar power. There's no doubt about it. It can make a very major contribution. Wind power also could perhaps be useful there. And I do have one or two things to say. One is that tourism is very important. I was, as you perhaps know, the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation was set up in 1967 for the first time. And I was the first cabinet minister of tourism and civil aviation, way back in 1967 in Indiraji's cabinet. So I love tourism, and tourism is marvelous. But one thing we must always remember, there is a factor of tourism pollution built in. Many places the environment has been totally destroyed because of tourism. Unplanned tourism can destroy an area very easily. So while it does bring prosperity, of course it does, but we must be careful to see, because I understand that in Leh now there are so many taxis that you can't move, you can't breathe. So one thing I would very strongly suggest is electric vehicles for Ladakh. I believe our technology is beginning to develop now for electric vehicles, and that should be the main form of internal locomotion within Ladakh. I'm not saying getting to Ladakh, but once you're in Ladakh, if you could get rid of these diesel and petrol vehicles and move on to electric vehicles, that is something I would very strongly recommend. The second point I would like to make is, new hotels are going to come up, new buildings are going to come up, but for heaven's sake, try and stick to the Ladakhi architecture. Do not make those hideous PWD cement monstrosities in the middle of Ladakh. ऐसा ना करिए, भगवान का वास्ता है, उससे बचाइए हमें from those cement monstrosities. You can do it. For example, I'll give you an example, is the Bhikshu Sangha Sena, who started a very nice thing called the Mahabodhi Karuna Charitable Hospital. It's along the road in Ladakh, and you can see how beautifully he has developed those buildings. Low buildings with the... So on the architecture also, let's be very cautious in Ladakh not to destroy the pristine architecture patterns of Ladakh. Of course we should modernize, of course we should have the most modern hotels, but we have to do it with a sense of sensitivity and some sense of aesthetics. On tourism, generally, I would like to make another point that ropeways, you see, Gadkari talks about roads, and roads are wonderful. But roads can create havoc also. Roads can destroy an environment also. ये आप पहाड़ों को फाड़ के जो सड़कें बना रहे हैं, इसका क्या अंत में, what will be the final result of this? So wherever possible, for these tourist areas, I agree with Gadkari, let's have ropeways. Ropeways, look at the way in Switzerland they've done it. There are no roads up to the top of their mountains. There are ropeways up to the top of the mountains. So we don't have to destroy the mountain to get to the top of the mountain. Which is what we've often done. सड़क बनानी थी, ऊपर तक सड़क बनानी. क्यों बनानी ऊपर तक सड़क? कोई शास्त्रों में लिखा है कि हर पहाड़ों के ऊपर आपको सड़क पहुंचानी है? Not necessary. You could have a ropeway. have a cafe there, have a beautiful place to sit and enjoy the view. So therefore, on construction, we should be very careful on architecture, and on ropeways, we should stress a great deal. This is not only true for Ladakh, it's also true particularly for the Kashmir Valley also. So that's all I have to say on Ladakh. I visited Ladakh first, Ashok, you'll be surprised, in 1952. Before many of you in the audience were born. Of course, these girls were not even in the realm of imagination at that time. Their grandfathers were probably around at that time. 1952, my wife and I, we were just married. I broke the law when we married, I must tell you. Luckily, the Sharda Act wasn't applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. So I was 19, my wife was 13 when we were married. And we were married in 1950. In 1952, we went on a sort of a honeymoon. She was 15, I was 21. We went to Ladakh. So it's unforgettable for us. In a way, it was a sort of a honeymoon place. And it was a fabulous place. You know, it was something out of this world. I had never seen that sort of a structure before. Of course, it was very undeveloped, if you like, at that time. But it was very beautiful. So Ladakh is indeed a unique asset which we have, and we must cherish it. Now let's come to, and one thing I'd like to say, Ladakh is politically empowered now because those hill councils are functioning. That's very important. Because without political empowerment, you cannot have development. Let's be very clear. Development requires political empowerment and the coordination activities of the people. Without that, you cannot just have a bureaucratic or a governmental development. And that, when I talk about Jammu and Kashmir, that's the first point I want to make. You have to politically empower Kashmir. Let me talk of Kashmir first. 5 months, there's been, in many areas, a lockdown. Many political leaders have been detained. 3 chief ministers have been detained for 5 months. I mean, it's something which we should ponder about. I'm not going to make any political statement in any detail. I'm just pointing out that if you talk about development of Kashmir, the first thing you've got to do is to empower the Kashmiris. If you disempower the Kashmiris, if you cut off the internet, if you don't let them move, then how are they going to, for God's sake, take part in the developmental process? So, political empowerment is an essential prerequisite for any development. So, on Kashmir particularly, I'd like to say that. Now, let me come to the problems in Kashmir. The hydrology of Kashmir, Ashok, as you know, the Vitasta begins from this beautiful place, the beautiful spring in Verinag, and then it goes down, meanders down. You have the Lidar as a major tributary, you have the Sindh further down. Now the hydrology it's a huge valley slightly tilted down, and all the water bodies were there. Now what has happened over the years is the water bodies are being destroyed. The Dal Lake, I grew up watching that Dal Lake. When I was growing up, it was a magnificent lake covering that whole bowl. Now it is 1/5 of what it was at that time, 1/5. And even that 1/5 is thickly weeded. It's a tragedy. I can see that lake dying. It has died before my eyes. मैंने इसको मरते देखा है. Over all these years, because I go every year, my house overlooks the Dal Lake. Every year I come, it has died a little more. And hundreds of crores of rupees have been given to various state governments for the. What have they done? I don't know. So if you say कि बहुत बड़ी फायदा होने वाला है कश्मीर को अब इससे 370 के abolition से, तो सबसे पहले आप डल को अगर साफ करेंगे तो मैं मानूंगा कि फायदा होगा. Otherwise, I don't agree. Let us see whether you can clean the Dal. It can be done. You have to outsource it. You have to give it to a foreign company. You cannot do it here. But whatever it is, do it for God's sake. That lake is dying. Even the area that is there, itne weeds aa gaye hain upar tak. The Dal Lake is like that. Anchar Lake has disappeared. Hokar, where my father had the world duck shooting record, Hokar has disappeared. Haigam has disappeared. Anchar for snipe shooting has disappeared. Even the great Wular Lake, the greatest freshwater lake in Asia, that also has now been considerably is great attrition there, and it is also beginning to gradually go. Mansabal is the only lake left which looks at least reasonable now in the valley. वो पता नहीं कैसे बच गया है. So therefore, the first thing you've got to do, you've got to look at the hydrology of this whole valley, and you've got to see all the natural places where the water used to come out have been blocked, cemented over. That is why Srinagar drowned. You remember the floods? Srinagar drowned. It was 10-12 foot पानी था. ये सारे आपने वजीर बाग में और राज बाग में, बिकॉज जो रास्ते निकलने के हैं पानी के वो आपने सब बंद कर दिए, उनको सीमेंट करके उसके ऊपर घर बना दिए, तो पानी कहाँ से निकलेगा? What is now happening, I notice in our country, in the whole of India, not only Jammu Kashmir, whole cities are drowning now. Chennai drowned once, Bangalore drowned, Mumbai drowned, Srinagar drowned. ये शहर के शहर डूब रहे हैं. So do we have any idea what are we going to do? So the first thing you must tackle is the hydrology of Kashmir, which includes the water bodies, includes the Dal Lake particularly. That I will put up as a marker to really judge whether or not we've been able to do something. Then the second big thing, of course, in Kashmir, which we must develop, which was mentioned, is horticulture. And horticulture, let me tell you, the apple this season, tens of crores of rupees have been lost by apple traders because the apples have not been able to move, despite the fact that I believe some trucks went up and all, the apple crop has not moved. So we have not only apples, we can do peaches and pears and plums and nectarines, which are not available anywhere else in the country. So we have to have a fresh look at the horticulture. जो कश्मीरी सेब होते थे अमरी, वो they've disappeared. They're no longer available. So we imported the red delicious and the yellow delicious from Himachal Pradesh. But now there are new varieties of apples. There used to be something called a quince apple. A quince apple is the बड़ा खट मिठा जैसा सेब होता था, वो आपने शायद खाया नहीं होगा किसी ने. Quince होता है ना, this thing, something called a quince, खट्टा होता. Quince apple is the cross between a quince and an apple. So we have to introduce these varieties, fresh varieties of apples. We have to see that our stock is replenished and that we don't just go down and down our apples and all the treatment and all. I don't want to go into it in detail, but horticulture is a very major thing. I'm very glad that Gadkari spoke about honey. Honey, we are very proud of our honey. Kashmir ka honey to khate hain sare. Right on the door. It's there. So the honey was really our speciality. And that honey in the comb, they used to sell it in square boxes. Comb bhi uske andar tha, to that has its own flavor, which can never be replicated. So honey is very good. Saffron is another crop I would particularly like to mention. Saffron crop is in danger. You must see what is the problem. पामपुर में जहाँ होते वहाँ कुछ problem है, पानी की problem है, क्या problem है. और ज़ाफ़रान हमारा, स्पेन के बाद ज़ाफ़रान हमारा बहुत बढ़िया माना गया. कश्तवाड़ में भी होता है, लेकिन कश्मीर का ज़ाफ़रान, उसको ज़रा देखिए. Please also see when you have your development that honey and saffron are also included in your horticulture programs. Then the next big thing is handicrafts. Here again, कितना नुकसान हुआ है लोगों को इस साल. कश्मीरी आते थे इन दिनों में, अपना वो बेचारे शॉल लेके और वो लेके सारे घूमते थे, घर घर जाते थे, कश्मीरी से आया है लेने के लिए. इस दफ़ा कोई निकल नहीं पा रहा है, ना बड़ी एक्सपोर्ट हो रही है, अरबों रुपए का नुकसान हो गया. तो फर्स्ट थिंग आई थिंक द यूनियन टेरिटरी शुड डू इज टू गिव कॉम्पेंसेशन to the apple growers and to the carpet weavers and the shawl makers. उनका जो नुकसान हुआ, तो पहले उसकी पूर्ति कीजिए, फिर उसके बाद आप कहिए कि बहुत फ़ायदे पहुंच रहे हैं. लेकिन पहले जो नुकसान हुआ वो नुकसान तो भरी है. नुकसान के बाद फिर फैसलों का हम देखेंगे कि क्या आप फ़ायदे दे पा रहे हैं. Then we come to industries. We need low polluting, high tech industries, remember. In Kashmir Valley, We need low polluting, high tech industries. एक वो cement factory लगी थी क्रू में, that one factory smoke destroyed the whole valley. So for heaven's sake, when we do our development, whatever big companies may come in, national or international, they have to be told that we want low pollution, high technology industries. We are not going to allow polluting industries in Kashmir. It will destroy the valley. We have to give incentives for that, for these sort of, if you really want it to develop. Then the next major point I'd like to make are the forests. The forests, as you know, are the glory. They are our saviors. It is because of the forests that we get the rain, everything that we live. Now, there's been grave deforestation in many parts of Kashmir. That has to be fulfilled. Sir Peter Clutterbuck, you may have heard the name, way back in 1905. My grandfather had invited him. He had made out a plan for forest development. अभी तक भी आप वो प्लान निकाल के देखिए. 100 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए उस प्लान को. उस प्लान को अगर आप चला सके तो मैं मानूंगा. And the Devdhars, they are the glory of the Himalayas. उनका नाम ही देवधर है, देवताओं को धरते हैं वो. They support the gods. एक देवधर काटना भी बड़ा भारी पाप है. यहाँ जंगल के जंगल कट गए हैं. And all of them reappear in Jawahar Nagars and Subhash Nagars and Jawahar Nagars as beautiful houses. I'm sorry to say. You can draw your own conclusions of what I'm trying to say. So what we have to do is to look at the forests again, look at the whole forest plan of J&K. What sort of regeneration do you need? And that involves therefore the wildlife. क्योंकि forest होंगे तभी wildlife होगा. It was mentioned the high altitude wildlife in Ladakh, of course, is unique. That has to be looked into. In Kashmir, the hangul is the most highly endangered species in the world. 150-200 रह गए हैं सिर्फ. Dachigam, जो मेरे father का reserve होता था, that is where became the national reserve for the hangul. And you know what the government did 50 years ago? They put a sheep farm bang in the middle of Dachigam. Can you imagine? 2,000 sheep in the middle of the Dachigam sanctuary. In our most endangered species. पता नहीं अभी निकले कि नहीं निकले, हम तो चिल्लाते रहे, निकल गया क्या? गनीम कब निकला? अब बस पिछले साल निकला. चिल्लाने के बाद 50 साल से मैं करला रहा हूँ, पिछले साल निकला. तो कितनी तबाही हुई होगी, कितना, because vested interest ही यहाँ sheep farm. So therefore, you've got to look after that Dachigam sanctuary. There's also Kishtwar में भी sanctuaries हैं, वो भी वहाँ भी I'll come to Jammu later. So that has to be done, afforestation and planning. Then as far as Srinagar city is concerned, the real problem again is this पानी का जो irrigation है, and waste disposal. Waste disposal has become a big problem in many of our cities, including in Srinagar. So some waste disposal mechanisms have to be developed for that. And tourism, of course, is the mainstay. We set up a tourist reception center, Maharaja Pratap Singh's time, 1905. The first tourist reception center in India was set up in Kashmir. So tourism has been our mainstay for many, many years. And it's very good. But now we need more tourism infrastructure, all the way from youth hostels to 5-star hotels. Not only everybody is not a multimillionaire, they can live in the palace hotels. You need all levels, 4-star, 3-star. You need youth hostels, particularly where young people can come and stay. So that whole thing has to be planned. And there again, we have to see what sort of architecture they bring up. At present, we have the palace where I grew up is beautifully planned. My father planned it. They're right into the valley. It's not like those huge monstrosities you see in many of the states, the Victorian monstrosities. It's very beautifully planned, which became it was Gulab Bhavan where I live. वहीं गांधी जी से मिला मैं. I must tell you, I met Gandhi ji face to face there under a tree. If you go there, अभी plaque लगा हुआ है इस दरख्त पे, where Maharaja Hari Singh, Maharani Tara Devi and Yuvraj Karan Singh met with Mahatma Gandhi in June of 1947. That then, after we left, it became the Oberoi Hotel. Then after the Oberois left, then there was a thing. Now it's Lalit Hotel, but it's beautifully done. The Taj have built a hotel in Kral Sangri on top, quite well built. But when we do the development, please be very careful that it is done well. Because I remember there was this new place that was developed, a tourism place. It had a beautiful in the middle. And when we had to build the tourist bungalows, instead of putting them in the forest, we put them bang in the middle of the grass, of the marg. I mean, that's criminal. So I'm all for tourism. We need compensation for people who've lost money on tourists. We need incentives. So tourism, handicrafts and horticulture, if we can really manage these three, Ashok, then Kashmir can flourish like anything. But it has to be properly managed, and as I would again submit very respectfully to the powers that be, that before you start giving new value, please compensate the people for what they've lost. Then I'll come to Jammu finally. Now Jammu industries can develop in the Kandi belt. We have the Badi Brahmana area on the main road. There is already an industrial estate there. That needs to be looked into again. I do not know what is happening to it. I'm not closely in touch. But that whole industrial estate, I think, needs to be re-energized. And you have to have some more industries need to come up there. Right all the way up to Kathua, there can be industries. Fairly heavy industries could come up there in that area, because that is the Kandi belt. In the Kandi belt, the problem is irrigation. Kandi by definition means dry area. So definition, we need irrigation facilities, or lift irrigation, badi der se chal raha hai. That needs to be looked into again. In Jammu, tourism has got a tremendous potentiality, not only the religious tourism to Vaishno Devi and to the beautiful Jammu temples themselves. Our temples, our Raghunath Mandir, Ranviresh. One of the difficulties I find now is that people come to get into a train thanks to Gadkari. They go to Vaishno, they go to Katra. रात को ऊपर जाके दूसरे उसी ट्रेन में बैठ के वापस चले जाते. जम्मू कोई आता ही नहीं है. This, I think, is a great pity, because Jammu city itself has got some of the best temples in North India. So those are that tourism thing. Then, if we could open up the Bhadrawa-Kishtawad area, there's an interstate road, Ashok, I don't know whether you know or not, called the Chamba-Bhadrawa Road, which I started when I was the MP prehistoric times. When I was Sadr Riyasat actually, not even when I was MP. And वो अभी कभी इन्होंने बनने नहीं दिया. That road should be developed. You can have a new entry into the state. Chamba Bhadrawa Road, Bhadrawa Kishtwar is a beautiful area. It can itself become a tourist destination, a comparatively low-cost tourist destination. And it also gives us an additional entree into the valley over the Sinthan Pass. So you don't have to go via Jammu and Banihal. You can go from Chamba, Bhadrawa, and you go over the Sinthan Pass into the valley. So you get an alternative entree into the valley, and you can develop that whole area. In fact, when they were making the second Jammu University, the Central University, I said, don't put it in the Kandi area, put it in Bhadrawa, so that it would open up that whole area. But no, they had to put it within 10 kilometers of the existing university. Because of vested interest, everybody wants a university in their backyard. So that is not the way to do it. You have to develop, the way to develop Jammu, that area, is to develop that road, develop tourism on that road, and Bhadrawa, Kishtwar are beautiful areas. Kishtwar was known as the Kashmir-e-Sani, this Chota Kashmir. And Bhadrawa is a very beautiful area. So those are the areas I would suggest that we develop for Jammu tourism. And of course the Patnitop, Sannasar, Mansar complex, which I had also set up when I was tourism minister, a youth hostel in Patnitop. And there are these two lakes, Mansar and Sannasar. And that area can also become a very nice tourist area for people who go up from Jammu, for example. They don't have to go all the way to Kashmir. They have very nice places to stay there. In Jammu city, again, there's a problem of garbage disposal. Two more points regarding Jammu. One is the Mandi Mubarak. You may have heard of Mandi Mubarak. Mandi Mubarak is a complex of, Arinder, I don't know if you've been or not, of palaces built by my ancestors. said to be one of the largest conglomeration of palaces anywhere in the world. Or different palaces built by different rajas for Maharanis and so on. Now that my father had given back to the state. We never lived there. When he became Maharaja in 1925, he moved up to Gupkar, where we lived, and that was given back. Shergadi was given back to the state, and in Jammu we moved up to the Ramnagar area where we live now, and that was given back. Now those palaces are crumbling and disappearing. There have been plans for a long time for the Mandi Mubarak, क्या करें, Intact के साथ बात हुई है, इसके साथ बात हुई है, ASI वगैरह. Nothing really has emerged. I don't think all of them can be saved. But if we can save a few of the major ones and develop them into some kind of museums, or it can be done. Lots of money has been spent, but there's total lack of coordination on this area. This is one project, the Mandi Mubarak project, which has to be taken up by the government. And finally, I'd like to stress the importance of ex-servicemen in Jammu. As you know, the Dogras have been fighters, Dogra areas have been fighters for, and mind you, Dogra is not a caste term. You have Brahmin Dogras, you have Rajput Dogras, you have Dalit Dogras, you have Muslim Dogras. हमारे Allah Rakha Khan वगैरह डोगरे थे. This Zakir Hussain, the greatest percussionist in the world, he's a Dogra boy. Shiv Kumar Sharma is a Dogra boy who started the Santoor. So there's a lot of talent among the Dogras. But one of the main talents was music, one of was painting, the Basoli school, but the martial tradition. As I told you, the conquest of the state itself was a major achievement. So now what is needed is that, and now even today we have, I think, at least a couple of lakhs of Dogras in the Indian Army. In the Dogra regiment, in the Jack regiment, in the Jack Light Infantry, in the Grenadiers and other formations. Now that means there are lots of ex-servicemen. Because as you know, people retire at the age of 35. They come back home. But not adequate attention has been given to the ex-service. The incentives and freebies, if you like, or facilities that are given to ex-servicemen in Haryana, Himachal are not available to the ex-servicemen of Jammu. तो पहला काम आप ये करो ना, आप कहते हैं बहुत फ़ायदा होने वाला है, पहला ये फ़ायदा देखेंगे हम. अगर आप ये फ़ायदा कर देते हैं तो मैं मानूंगा कि कुछ फ़ायदा होगा. Why should the ex-servicemen, if there's a Dogra from Himachal and the Dogra from Jammu in the same regiment, why do they get more facilities and the Jammu people don't get them? So these are some of the ideas I had. I mean, I could go on forever, but it's already, I've taken my half an hour. इन्हें 15 मिनट दिए थे, मैं कि आधा घंटा था मैं लेना उसको काटने. Because there's so much I have to say. But let me just say this, कि एक बड़ी शानदार रियासत होती थी 84,000 स्क्वायर माइल्स की, कहाँ तिब्बत लद्दाख तक, अब छोटी हो गई है, चाहे छोटी हो गई है, लेकिन नाम जम्मू कश्मीर अभी तक है. तो कृपा करके जम्मू कश्मीर का जितना शीघ्र विकास कर सके इतना विकास कीजिए, और जितना शीघ्र उन लोगों को एम्पावर कर सके एम्पावर कीजिए. थैंक यू वेरी मच.